Eastern Florida State College keeps adding facilities, degree programs, sports, and student activities. In other words, it's growing. But why? Who's paying for all that? And how does the quality and value of the education compare to other colleges? Today I put those questions to the man who has been a driving force behind all of it, Eastern Florida State President Jim Richey. As you'll see in a moment, Richey is still as energized and driven today as he was when he assumed the presidency 5 years ago. Dr. Richey, thanks for joining us here today. We recently had some news about some groundbreakings for Eastern Florida State. Let's start there because that's what people see.
Well, absolutely, and thank you for inviting me again. I've been here a number of times over the years, and I can tell you I really enjoy being on your show and talking to our community about the great things that are going on at Eastern Florida State College. Recently, I guess it was August, mid-August of this last year, we had a groundbreaking on the Melbourne campus for a new Health Sciences Institute. Large building, 60-some thousand square foot, in total, $20 million project that will serve our health sciences areas, allow us to take programs that were kind of scattered in different areas and put them into one to be more efficient in terms of the kind of equipment and staff and faculty that can work with them, and also allow us to expand into some other areas that we haven't done in the past from a health sciences perspective. So it's going to have great faculty, great simulators, all kinds of stuff to make it real world, that when a person graduates, they're ready to get out into the field and do a great job and understand the roles that they're in.
What kind of students go in there? What kind of training programs are they in?
Well, you're going to have all kinds of different ones. Nursing, of course, is a major one. Nursing will be there. In fact, we'll have an emergency room. Looks exactly like an emergency room where they can back into the ambulance will have a port, and they'll go right into like an emergency room. It'll look exactly like it. All kinds of other programs associated with that, some physical therapy assistant programs, respiratory, all kinds of different programs that are associated with that. Everything
but the medical school, right? We have so many health professionals that you encounter at a hospital or any doctor's office. Right. They got to hire from someplace, right?
Well, that's just it. We of course don't have a medical school. That's not what our charter is essentially. But there's so many supportive roles, Matt, in the healthcare industry, and I'm sure you've had other guests on here have talked to you about that. All these other roles take a high degree of skill, and we're the kinds of places that they'll come and get that skill. And so we're really proud to be part of about the healthcare, moving healthcare forward in our region, and that's really what these jobs are in great part.
You also had, last time we talked, you were about to do something with a criminal justice, public safety facility there. What's up?
So previous to the groundbreaking this last August, approximately a year and a half prior to that, we broke ground on the new Public Safety Institute. And again, it's a similar kind of deal as the health sciences, except it's much more geared towards, obviously, first responders, folks that work in our jails, police officers, and those types of things. So that building was built on time, under budget, and it served us extremely well on the Melbourne campus. And if you get a chance, I'd invite you to come down, or anybody in our community that would like to come down and check out what's going on down there. Again, great simulators, all kinds of good faculty. The rooms are set up in such a way to be so that when you graduate, you are ready to go to work. So the second building is on top of the first one, and frankly, we haven't had new building money in many, many years. So extremely appreciative of the governor in signing the health sciences, and actually both of these buildings for us, with our legislative delegation and all the leadership that's taken place. So we've been very fortunate, very fortunate.
Now, here's my big question. The legislature hasn't given a lot of money for construction like this, or at least it's not coming through on a regular basis. In fact, some of it was vetoed.
That's correct.
For several years there, especially when times were tough. Where does the money come from to do that? Tuition? Are you raising tuition?
No, for these buildings?
Yeah.
That's not coming from tuition. Absolutely not. In fact, these are appropriations from the state.
Okay.
And they got to meet some real strict criteria that the governor, in particular, and the legislators as well, are looking for. A lot of them, they want to be obviously STEM related: science, technology, engineering, math. And I'm sure I've seen your show. I know other folks talk about the same types of things as we do. You're talking about a health sciences building, in a growing area of healthcare needs. So that fits squarely within that. And the return on investment, everybody talks about return on investment, and I know our governor does as well. The return on investment of these new jobs that have real needs in our community is just fantastic. So it's money well spent, and that's why, in my opinion, we've got the funds to do it.
Now, did you say what's going on with tuition? Is it up, down, sideways?
I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. A couple things. On tuition, specifically, I became the president, the interim president in 2011, October actually, so just about, a couple weeks from now, essentially, okay? Been 4 years, so I'll be getting my 5th year. In that time, I have recommended that we not raise tuition one time. We haven't raised it at all. And the Board of Trustees has approved that budget with those types of no tuition increases in there. So we have not raised tuition any of those years. And as a consequence of that, I read that in some of our journals that are publications for community colleges, state colleges around the country, that we are, I believe, the 21st least expensive college in the country. So, I mean, that's not by coincidence. If you don't raise tuition and everyone else is raising tuition, then obviously you're going to be, less expensive.
Let's talk about numbers and rankings. I know that people who shop for colleges look at these a lot, and obviously you guys are trying to make progress at the college, and you probably have metrics that you look at. Give me a sense of where things stand today.
Well, one of the most important metrics that I always look at, I know the Board of Trustees looks at, it's very important, is our graduation rate. Are folks coming there and are they graduating? And I find that to be very, very important. We have one of the highest graduation rates in the Florida college system, of which I'm very proud. It's a big deal, and it's getting to be even a bigger deal. I'll tell you about that a little bit later with the performance funding that we're now under from the state legislature. But in addition to that, nationally, we rank 26th in the country in the production of Associate of Arts degree holders. And there's other, along the sciences as well, we're the 28 number and that type of thing, out of 1,200 similarly sized colleges. So, to me, that's impressive. We're getting it done. People are graduating, and a lot of them are getting jobs.
That's pretty good. I mean, not pretty good. I mean, most universities that I know of, whether it's a liberal arts school or it's a major research university, aspires to be in the top 50. And just about anything. Right. If you're a top 50, you're in the top tier, and that's going to make you a coveted place to wind up going.
True.
I mean, maybe a little bit different mission at the state college level, but no less hard work that goes into that. I
told the board when they hired me, again, 4 years ago, that we want to be number one. We want to be the best, and there's no reason that in this part of Florida and the community we have here, that we couldn't be number one in a lot of categories. In fact, one of the ways they also do that is the Aspen Award. You probably heard of that in the past.
I have.
And we have not won it yet. So we're going to keep working hard to.
What is the Aspen Award? What does it reward?
It's to the top community college in the country, and we get interviewed every year for it. Again, there's 1,000, 1,500, probably more that actually apply to be considered. Many colleges in the Florida college system actually have not many, several have won it. I know Valencia won it. I believe Santa Fe won it last year, and every year we get in the top high percentiles, top 10 percentiles probably within that award. So we have a ways to go, but there's no reason that we can't be. So that's kind of the energy that I like to have across the college. That we should strive to be the best.
High performer, low cost, good value.
Exactly.
Talk about this performance. Not performance pay, but right. I guess it's performance funding in some fashion from the state. Talk about that a little bit.
Brand new, that just came out, okay, through this last legislative session. I know that was a rough session. I know you guys talked about it a lot, and of course everyone watched it very closely, but there's a new performance formula, essentially, that takes everyone who's in the Florida college system, there's 28 of us, and it allows certain monies to be, quote, called at risk. There's a certain dollar figure that your college will potentially lose throughout this performance measurement, okay? And what it does then is there's 3 categories. One category is the gold, that's only the top, couple colleges. Then there's a silver category, and then there's the bronze category. If you're in the bronze category, that's, again, the last couple according to this metric system, if you're in the bronze category, then potentially you could lose some funding that you've had. You're in the silver category, you keep your funding, and if there's more performance funding available, which there is, then you're going to gain some of those dollars as well. And if you're in the gold, of course, you get to keep the at-risk money plus even more money. So it's very much, it's tied to real dollars. It's tied to real money. It's a very, very serious thing. And they look at a number of measurements, one of which, of course, we just talked about was graduation rates. Another one is retention rates. Another one is jobs and kind of the wages of those jobs. So across the state, no measurement system is going to be perfect, as you might imagine, because all areas are pretty much, there's some differences, obviously. Our area has been hit quite hard, obviously, over the years with the space areas and jobs in this area and whatnot. So wages could be a little bit lower here than they would be other places, et cetera, et cetera. But after it's all said and done, we're in the silver category this last year. Of course, we aspire to be in the gold category next year. And I can tell you, we're working very hard to meet every one of the kind of expectations they've laid out there to do well. With that said, you also have to realize that, and a lot of folks maybe don't realize this, and they should, that the Florida college system is the best college system in the country. I know California has led the way in a lot of ways over the years, but because of their budgetary problems in California, Florida has basically overtaken them. So when we measure ourselves, even if you're in a lower end of it, you're still at the lower end of some of the best system in the country. So I'm very proud of what our college has done and what really our system has done across the country.
You have added a number of bachelor's degree programs. In fact, it was tied to the name change
Right.
a few years ago to Eastern Florida State from Brevard Community College, because we're going to start moving into adding bachelor's degrees and awarding those. How has that done so far? How many people do you graduate now with bachelor's degrees?
It's so gratifying to see. I mean, as you said, we created the baccalaureate tracks. Actually a couple of years ago, we became Eastern Florida State College in the summer of 2013 and began our programs thereafter. We've already had a couple graduating classes, folks who just took tons of credits, even though it should take you 2 years. Some of them took them a year. I mean, some very, very, very hardworking students. We've had a couple graduation classes, and you just have to stop and when they're coming across the stage, and you see it in their eyes and you see it in my eyes, I'm so thrilled that these folks have had an opportunity to get that degree, because it's very meaningful in a lot of ways in terms of their careers, in terms of the amount of money they can make. I mean, the average baccalaureate holder over the course of their careers will make $61,000 is the statistic that we were given through a report, an economic impact report that was done about a year ago or whatever. So what we've tried to do is get them into areas that are high need, obviously. Okay, and there's really three basic areas. One of which, of course, is the technology areas. We're in a technology area of Florida, obviously. So there's a variety of tracks in the technology area. Another one, of course, is healthcare. And these aren't just unique to baccalaureates, obviously. I mean,
Right.
there's associate's degrees as well. And of course, the third area is business, in a variety of areas within a business setting. So within 2 years, I can tell you right now, we have just under 1,000 folks actually enrolled. And every time you turn around, there's hundreds more every time. So we've obviously hit a need in our community. And the kind of folks that are in here, again, these are, first of all, you have to have an associate's degree to actually get into the programs.
Okay.
Okay, so that's different than your typical university, freshman.
Where you sign up, you enroll as a freshman to get a business degree.
Right. Here you have to have your associate's degree before you can get into that. So you're talking about different types of folks in some ways. Our actual average age of folks that are in the baccalaureate program are in the 30s, the 32, 33, somewhere in that range, okay? So these are folks that have been working in the community. They have their associate's degrees in whatever their associate's degree happens to be in. They're working in industry, they're working in businesses, and they want to become a manager. They want to move the next step up in terms of their employers. The employers want them because they need those people. They've proven themselves as valuable and good employees with the skill set, the technical maybe skill set they need, but now they need the managerial experience in those types of things. So it's been a perfect meld. We've worked very closely with our community. We have all kinds of industry folks on our advisory boards in all these different areas. And they're the ones coming to us and say, have you thought about doing a degree in this? Have you thought about doing a degree in that? And so that's how we listen to them. We do our surveys. One of the things I did when I became the president is I told the board that on an annual basis, if not more, and it's turned out to be more than once a year, we're going to survey. We're going to survey everybody about everything. I mean, in terms of students and what do they want, what is the community looking for, what is business looking for, would they hire people if we did this and did that? We routinely do these kinds of things. And that's served us extremely well in terms of developing programs that meet that need. So it's been fantastic. And I'd say we're just getting going, Matt. I mean, I think there's more on the horizon, you'll see.
Well, we recently took a trip down to Embraer, walked through their assembly plant in Melbourne, and while we were waiting to meet with Phil Krull, their general manager down there, there was just one person walking in for an interview after another for jobs. And then when we went into the facility, we looked and were taken aback by how technical the work was, how specialized that technical work was. And these were airplanes. When you look at these rigs that they were building, how much our lives depend on that. I mean, these were the need for a really good professional technician for these types of jobs seemed very high, and it made me wonder how much was the college connected to that company and trying to make sure that that workforce was there for them.
That's a great point you're bringing up. I mean, we saw this a couple years ago. We saw where the airport was moving. We announced it a number of years ago that we were going to try and develop a program for the maintenance folks on the aircrafts and whatnot. And you know, those are very difficult programs to put together if you think about it. You know, you've got to have aircraft, you've got to have massive engines, you've got to have all kinds of equipment to work on these things. You've got to have highly specialized professors who have that background. You've got to have you know, FAA approval. Now, that's not an easy thing to get. You've got to have all kinds of accreditation. So, and you've got to have a facility. I mean, you're not going to put that on a main campus. You're going to have it at an airport. So we've worked extremely closely with the airport officials, businesses out there we've worked very closely with, and I can tell you that starting in January of next year, just a couple months away, we're going to begin our aircraft maintenance program as an Associate of Science degree. That's cross our fingers, everything, but that's what we're looking to do. That's our goal. And so we're going to be right in the mix on that, and we're very excited about it.
Well, I understand there's going to be a 747 hangar down there looking for a tenant here pretty
Well,
soon. So
we have a much smaller
opportunities abound, right? Let's talk about some fun stuff. You have talked in the past about wanting to grow the college experience for students at Eastern Florida State, not just a commuter school where you show up, take a class, leave. How's that going?
It's going fantastic. I mean, you know, again, when you come to college, you know, you're going to be there a few times, maybe your associate's degree, maybe your baccalaureate degree, but you're not going to spend your life typically, you know, as a student, typically, okay? So when you're there, it's very important that you feel comfortable. You're connected to groups that maybe, you know, you had an interest in, but you haven't had the time to be part of. Or you're creating your own and creating a team atmosphere. You learn an awful lot outside of the classroom. That's very important to me, and I know it's important to our board as well. So that's kind of how we got into this. You know, you really need to have the collegiate experience that the students want.
Right.
What do they want, okay? So as a consequence of that, over these last number of years, this created 80 new clubs and organizations of every type you can think of, okay?
Now, who creates those? You? The college?
No,
Do the students stand these up on their own?
Yeah, well, the students talk with our student government representatives that work for the college, okay? They say, hey, here's a concept we'd like to do. And then they kind of ferret it out, and then they get a faculty sponsor to sponsor, to be, you know, kind of in charge of that group or whatever, and kind of keep them in line with what they want to do and what their charter is or whatever. Highly supportive from every aspect, from certainly my office, I can tell you that. So yeah, it's from the ground up. It's from the students and working with their appropriate representatives with faculty to create these organizations. So we've created all these things that, of course, lead to folks feeling comfortable when they come to the college. And when you feel comfortable, you're more likely to want to graduate. You're more likely to want to stay there and finish. And of course, that's one of the problems that we have as a country is folks start and sometimes they don't finish. And so we're looking to have those rates get higher, and that's one way of doing it, obviously. And it's worked extremely well for us. In addition to the clubs and organizations, of course, you know, there's athletics, and we've talked about athletics in the past.
That's been highly visible, at least at the Melbourne campus, where you can see new tennis facilities, soccer facilities, that kind of thing.
And you know what's interesting about it is not, you know, you have various levels of the athletics. You have your varsity athletics, which is I think what you're referring to, but you also have intramurals. Now, we didn't have a vibrant, in any way, shape, or form. I'm not even sure we had one. Just to say, an intramural program. I now know that we have a vibrant intramural program. We've got co-ed teams. We have all kinds of different areas. Soccer is a pretty popular one, but they play football, they play basketball as well. Faculty do it as well. I mean, I just think that's fantastic, and that's part of the experience that some students are looking for. We also just announced not long ago a club sport, you know, a club sport of lacrosse. Okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and again, we didn't have a club sport. So for those in the audience that don't know what a club sport is, you have varsity, which is your varsity athletics, intramural, which you play on Thursday nights, and club sports somewhere in between, where they practice 4 or 5 days a week, and then they play other colleges or universities, but not on a varsity level,
Right.
basically. Okay, so we're thrilled that that's part of what we're doing now as well, and it creates a lot of momentum, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of school spirit. A lot of school spirit.
Right.
So it's been exciting.
And you have a couple soccer teams that are highly ranked, it sounds like.
Remember we talked earlier about wanting to be the best at everything we do?
Sure.
Well, we got one number 1 and number 2 right now. We've had good teams. We love our teams. They work hard, and it's always exciting to see what the postseason looks like for all our programs. So I can't wait to see what the next couple months hold. But we've got great coaches. We've got a great infrastructure. And if you haven't seen it, we have Inside Titan Sports now that we love.
Oh, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, okay.
I believe we share a sound stage with that
I
program.
enjoy watching that on Thursday
nights.
nights myself, I have to say. I think it's a well-done program, and it really just, it again, leads to more community support for kind of what we're doing from an athletic perspective.
I think a soccer rivalry with Florida Tech is in the works, isn't it? I mean,
I would love that, with if we could
the
put
Space Coast Showdown.
If we could put that together, we would definitely want to do that. There's no doubt about it. We've played them from time to time on maybe exhibitions and things like that. I think we're highly competitive with them in a lot of ways. It's fun to see. I think it'd be great for the community. We'd have a natural rivalry in that regard. So let's hope we can put that together. Great idea.
That's fantastic. Now, I know also there's been talk, at least things are in the works, with there being some kind of a minor league soccer program connected to the Orlando City Lions, maybe coming to Eastern Florida State. What's up with that?
Well, I can tell you where we are with that. First of all, just to back up a little bit, our region is very interested in sports. I mean, we know that from all the coverages that you guys do and from living here for all these years. On all the type of sports. I mean, we've got how many great athletes? I mean, how many great athletes have come from this region? So this is a very rich culture on a lot of sports. I will say that of course soccer is certainly in there. I mean, we've seen it from our perspective, all the youth leagues, all the great teams that have come out of here, all the state high school championships. So there's certainly a lot of enthusiasm for soccer in general. Okay, now with Orlando City setting up shop in Orlando. I can't even believe how great they've done. I mean, if you followed what they've done over there, if you've been over there.
I've been to a couple of games now, and they are among the best pro sports events that I've been to.
I feel the same way. I had an opportunity to go over there. I had the opportunity to talk to some of their leadership over there. Just a first-class organization, really well thought out and well done, and the reception has been fantastic. And, we do know that they're looking to have the top-level minor league affiliate with them. And we've had some discussions with them because we have a fantastic facility, and this is a soccer-rich area. And if we can, work together on all the different issues that would go associated with that, we would love to have them. And I would hope that some sort of an announcement, one way or another, could happen in the not-too-distant future.
The fan support for those Lions games in Orlando are amazing. Exactly. I mean, it's not just that you have a stadium that's full. And it's the Citrus Bowl, a bigger stadium than they're going to be moving into. It's not just that you have that end zone where there's flags waving and drums beating and that kind of thing. When you go to downtown Melbourne or downtown Orlando, it's almost like a festival. Yeah. With people walking, all over the place to get there, all in purple, and it's just really, really fun to see. I think the level of support for soccer today is where a lot of other pro sports maybe were 40 or 50 years ago, because we have a whole generation of people that have grown up playing it and they love it. And it seems like it would be successful if it does happen to come here.
We would love to have it here if we could make it work. I mean, how exciting would it be for our citizens, particularly minor leagues play during the summers a lot. They'll play other times of the year, but primarily during the summers. It'd be fantastic to have not only the minor league here, but really what would happen is the players that would be playing here, if again were to come here, is they would get called up to the major league club quite often, and so they'd use them down here to make sure they're getting the work in, so that they can play at the top level. There'd be potentially exhibition games with worldwide brands, maybe from Europe, South America, that come here. Just for this community, it would be an exciting time. I think it'd be well received. So if we can put it together, I can tell you we're trying, and hopefully we can get something done.
We have 2 minutes left in this program, and I didn't want it to go without giving you a chance. I wanted to just hear from your perspective as the president of the university. What's your biggest challenge day to day in leading this organization?
Well, first of all, I have as much passion today as the day I started. I can tell you that. I love what I'm doing. I love the direction. I really love the community support. I'm very thankful for the community support that we get. The community is behind us in every regard, so that's really gratifying to me. In terms of challenges, I would say one of the biggest challenges now, these colleges are now getting to be 60 years old, okay? And you know, we're large institutions. I mean, we have a lot of places have multiple campuses. We have 4. Other places have 6 or more, okay? And as a function of that, one thing that led to them building these buildings and maintaining these buildings and remodeling these buildings was PICO funds, okay? And that's tied to a tax on, I think, landlines on telephones that really don't do a lot anymore. The people don't have as many of those, obviously. So there's a dwindling supply of routine remodeling money that I think is going to be a bigger and bigger issue as years go by. And I know the legislature and folks are trying to find ways that make sense to make sure we're getting what we need there. But that's a challenge when you have, I think in our case, we have 54 buildings and over 2 million of usable space. So that's quite a challenge. We've done a good job. I can tell you, I've been with the college since 2008. There hasn't been a year gone by where we haven't remodeled or rehabilitated many buildings on all our campuses. And there's plans for all our campuses in terms of future growth, new buildings, not just Melbourne. That we've got Coco's going to have a new chemistry building down in Palm Bay. We set up our fire academy down there and got approval to start building a lot of structures associated with that. So we're going to utilize all our campuses like we'd like to, obviously. But I think over time, a challenge will certainly be along those lines.
Dr. Jim Richey, thank you so much for joining us here
My
in the
pleasure.
studio today.
Thank you.
Well, that's our program. My thanks to Eastern Florida State College President Jim Richey for taking time to share a progress report. To share your feedback or suggest new topics for the show, shoot me an email at mreed@floridatoday.com or reach out via Facebook at facebook.com/MattReedNews. Don't miss my next interview with the Brevard County newsmaker every Wednesday on WEFS and FloridaToday.com.